The deep state has spoken. The court of public opinion is concluded, and the result will be impeachment. Big government supporters and globalists couldn't be happier. But are they shooting themselves in the proverbial foot? We'll look into it today on this analysis, or in this episode of Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. The October surprise came about a year early for the 2020 presidential election, but with deep state working against the president nearly every step of the way, it's actually kind of surprising that impeachment hearings haven't happened sooner. After all, that's been the highest priority for some in Congress. Recall a rather outspoken member of the squad eloquently announcing their intentions to impeach during her first week of work in January. Now, the allegations are tenuous at best. One side said the president was looking to shake down a political rival, while the other side said that political corruption allegations against the Bidens needed to be settled. Who's right, who's wrong? Well, you can bet that the truth of the matter will not be settled during the impeachment hearings of the House. Obviously, the president faces a stacked deck there, and it's going to be political theater at its lowest point. But through all of this noise, one point that the president's supporters continue to make is that the whistleblower did not witness the phone call and did not know who initiated the call to begin with. Now, if that seems a bit odd to you, then understand that the way that the whistleblower laws are written, a whistleblower does not need to be present when the alleged events occurred. Now, as the New American summarized online, the whistleblower merely repeated explosive, unproven claims he heard from someone else. The someone else was multiple White House officials who claimed Trump, in asking Zelensky to probe the Biden-Burisma scandal, did so to invite Ukraine's collusion in Trump's 2020 campaign. Everything the whistleblower wrote, apart from his summary of media reports, is hearsay, which is typically inadmissible as evidence in court. Perhaps that gives the president's side a bit of support. If he in fact was guilty of anything illegal on the call, then wouldn't those who were there step forward, or at least perhaps sign on as an additional whistleblower? Instead, could this perhaps be another political hack job, as the president characterized it? And there are two additional points to keep in mind. Former Vice President Joe Biden's account of why he was pushing the president of Ukraine to fire the prosecutor general greatly differs, with hundreds of pages of internal memos and documents that show Biden was using his position to protect the company and his son, who was employed by that same company. The other point is that the Hill had uncovered a two-pronged operation run by the Obama White House and the Democratic National Committee to help Hillary Clinton and sink then-candidate Donald Trump. The New American summarized that the DNC had approached the Ukraine embassy to help them dig up dirt on Trump's campaign chief, Paul Manafort. The embassy initially declined to help, but, later acquiesced. The DNC pushed them to find evidence that Trump and Manafort were Russian assets working to harm national security, so they could introduce that into Congress in September of 2016 to build a case to take Trump's name off of the ballot. The second prong of that operation to help Clinton came from the U.S. Embassy. The embassy told the Ukraine's prosecutor general that he needn't investigate the Anti-Corruption Action Center and the alleged misuse of $4.4 million in U.S. aid to fight corruption. The U.S. ambassador gave the Ukrainian prosecutor a list of people who should not be prosecuted. As the New American asked, why would the embassy do that? The answer came from the Hill. The center was co-founded by the Obama administration and liberal megadonor George Soros. Solomon, the author of the article at the Hill, reported, and it was collaborating with the FBI agents investigating then Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort's business activities with pro-Russian figures in Ukraine, writes Solomon. He continues, the implied message to Ukraine's prosecutors was clear. don't target the center in the middle of an American presidential election in which Soros was backing Hillary Clinton to succeed another of Soros's favorites, Barack Obama, Ukrainian officials said. A Ukrainian official also told Solomon, "We ran right into a buzzsaw and we got bloodied." Now, if we look at the last time an American president was impeached, then you'd see that it's very difficult to get a conviction in the Senate. When Bill Clinton was impeached in late 1998, the early 1999 trial in the Senate needed 67 votes to convict, and they only managed to get 45 on the first article and 50 on the second, with 10 Republicans crossing over on the first count and 5 on the second. The Constitution doesn't have a lot to say about impeachment, but it does give the House the sole power to impeach, while the Senate is to conduct the trial with the Chief Supreme Court Justice presiding, and 2/3 of those present is needed to convict at the Senate. It also states that punishment is not to exceed the removal of office or future office holding, but is subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. What we do know is that if we were holding court in judgment of the entire federal government, we would be standing in judgment of anyone who has taken the oath and failed to obey it. The Constitution is not a suggested course of action. It is a document of limitations or restraints on the federal government, and it has been ignored for far too long. We predict that the House will not have a problem in impeaching the president, but the Senate would likely fail to convict. And only time will tell what the ramifications will be for the DNC, as well as to those Republicans who shy away from supporting the president during this crucial time. Whatever the outcome, this political theater seems to be aimed at 2020. Perhaps the goal is to convince enough voters to choose someone else or to skip voting entirely. In any case, at a time when the purview of the federal government will come into discussion, now is the perfect time to review our DVD Overview of America. It offers a historic look at what exactly American government is supposed to be instead of the shape that it's in now. So consider applying for membership in the John Birch Society as we work to protect American liberty and independence. Links are in the video description, and please be sure to like and share this video as well as subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you then.